I'd like to reconvene the public session. And would the city attorney please give a report on actions taken in closed session?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The first one on the list, Public Employee Relation Board. The council heard and received an update from the attorneys. There was no reportable action. Second item on the list, council did not hear, continued to the end of the meeting. Third item on the list, which was APN 129-02090, council heard, no reportable action. Fourth matter on the list, APN 131-130-025, council heard, no reportable action. Fifth one on the list, which is APN 126-050-002, was continued to the end of the meeting. The sixth matter on the list, conference with legal counsel, APN 133-300, council heard, no reportable action. And the final item, which is initiation of litigation, council continued to the end of the meeting.
Thank you, Colin. Okay. We'll now have the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we will have the invocation by Ken Linden. If you would please rise, please. Ready? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening.
Good evening. Dear God, we just thank you for this opportunity to come and to have free discussions about this community and the actions that need to be taken. I pray that your blessing would be upon the council people that are here, that you'd lead them, guide them, and you would help us as citizens to be respectful of all the actions that will be taken tonight. We just thank you for that. We thank you for we live in a free country where we can have a democracy, where we can have our voice heard. And we just thank you for that in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Ken, if you'd like to stay right there. I'm going to call upon Councilmember Kevin Bash to present you with the Community Spirit Award.
So, as most of you know who have come to these meetings before, we during the pandemic we began to look at people who had done extraordinary things, and so every couple of council meetings we actually give an award to someone who has exemplified service to others. What's most fun about this one tonight is I don't think he even knows what he does or has done. I'm going to start out just with, he's somebody, by the way, you probably all know if he didn't have his beard on. So he retired from Stater Brothers store in Hamner July 30th. He had worked at the Hamner store since March of 1985 and overall started with Stater's in July of 1978. He was in the frozen food department his entire duration at the Hamner store. Literally, he has worked in Norco since 1985. From 97 to 2002, he served as the Royal Rangers Scouting Group through the Assemblies of God, Senior Commander at Beacon Hill Assembly of God. I went to school with Renee Parrish. Between 2002 and now in 2022, he's continued to work with the Royal Rangers at different churches in Riverside. Since March 1st of this year, he's been serving as the assistant pastor at LifeSpring Assembly of God in Riverside. This is why Ken is here. You may all remember going into Stater Brothers, and there was no food. It was actually very, very frightening. I can remember my mother coming home and saying, "There's no food." But he was there. And I can remember going, he's there. He's helping. Everybody's masked up. But because he was there and his presence was so solid, it made me feel like we had hope. I'd see him, it was very important. So, Ken Linden, Norco City Council applauds you for embodying the spirit of Norco. Thank you very much. A couple words?
And some of you I recognize, some of you I don't. But serving the people of Norco has been a privilege. I think the people of Norco are some of the greatest people in the world. I had very, very few examples of people who were, I call not good citizens. Most of you who came to the store were always friendly, and I tried to do my best to serve you, to help you, like Kevin says, to supply you with what you needed. Because that was my job, is to take care of the department, make sure we had product there the best I could. So I just like to say thank you for the people of Norco. You guys are the greatest, and thank you for honoring me tonight.
Yeah. Can we get
Kevin, you can just stay there, please. Now I'm gonna ask council to join me down, and we'll do a few proclamations. I've decided to call an audible on this, so we'll just go with it. You know, last Friday we recognized all of our veterans at the memorial, and it was a great ceremony. But tonight we are recognizing November as National Veterans and Military Family Month by presenting a proclamation to members of the community who have contributed to the development of the city of Norco. So I would like to call up the following community members to receive a proclamation on behalf of our community. Number one, Master Gunnery Sergeant David Overstreet and his lovely bride, Patricia. Hi, Pat. Gage Zettelmeyer. We'll all make room. Bobby Mendoza. And Jake, I'll try Arakawa. I do all right? So I'm just going to get, hi, Bobby. How are you? Just a couple of the whereases. Whereas in 1993, the Armed Services YMCA established Military Family Month, now called National Veterans and Military Families Month, as a way to recognize the strength and sacrifices of families, caregivers, and survivors of our veterans and our current service members. Whereas the City of Norco is a patriotic community that is committed to recognizing our past and present military service members, while also recognizing the significant contributions, support, and sacrifice of our military families. Now, therefore, I, Greg Newton, Mayor of the City of Norco, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim November 2022 as National Veterans and Military Families Month. If any of you would like to speak, or any council member, go ahead, Gage.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I just want to say thank you to the City of Norco for welcoming me, and I just want to give a special thanks to my supervisor Alejandra and Michelle. They're always really flexible with my military schedule, so it makes my life a lot easier. So thank you guys.
let me add, Gage is one of our, not only he works here as a full-time city staff, he's also an Army reservist. So applaud him for being a citizen soldier at the same time working on our staff. So he's one of the only ones we have in the city currently as a city employee. So good deal.
So first off, I want to talk about Bobby Mendoza. Bobby, over here. So Bobby is a combat soldier, Vietnam, 1970. But Bobby, my Pearl Harbor Day that I've put together since 2006, he was my sound guy. And he did it every single year, didn't charge anything. I mean, and some of the setups were very complicated. He'd bring his son along with him, who I saw grow from here to here. Right. His wife, Becky, over there works. She's also a veteran of working at City Hall here. 30 years? 30 years, you poor woman. But anyway, Bobby is really somebody that I deeply love. He's a wonderful person. He would do anything for you. And I just wanted to make sure that we honored him tonight.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. You want to say something?
I'd like to thank Kevin for inviting me tonight. Get too emotional. This thing has been 52 years ago for me. So I'm still here. I see some veterans out there. And God bless all of us. Thank you.
Hi, how y'all doing? Jake Arakawa, born and raised in Norco. I mean, this month means a lot to a lot of people, but besides the council members, this also has to do with you guys. If you have nieces, nephews, cousins, family members in the military, give them a call. Even if you don't talk to them, it's that one nephew that's a little, I can't say that, little troublemaker, doesn't matter. Give them a call anyway, because that could be the difference. This past weekend, we lost one of the guys in our platoon to suicide. Not a fun thing to go through, especially when you don't know why. So if you have family members in the military, just give them a call no matter what. And when you talk to them, don't say, hey, I'll talk to you when you come home. You talk to them the next week and the week after that. And when they come home, it's not, when can you come to us? It's, when do you have time for us to drive to you and all that good stuff. It's the little things that matter. And just please do your part as a family member or a veteran to keep these people from doing stuff they shouldn't. So if you guys can do that for me and for your community and for your family, I'd really appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I'd like to thank you for nominating David and I for this. We've lived in Norco for almost 45 years, raised 2 lovely daughters here, and what I really appreciate is how much the city does appreciate the veterans. Our Veterans Memorial is one of the most beautiful, hallowed places I've ever seen, and we've been to Arlington and cemeteries overseas, and I just treasure our Veterans Memorial. It's been a wonderful, patriotic city to live in, where most of us share the same views, too. So I want to thank you very much for this honor. Thank you.
Yes, I know that there are veterans in here, so if I can do, since we're changing an audible, can I have my veterans stand up, especially all our veterans in the room? Excellent, excellent. All right, thank you for your service. And Brooks, come on up here. Brooks Speaks is he's brother of Wes Speaks, but we won't hold that against him. The current mayor of, but he's also president of our local Rotary Club. So, Brooks, I'm going to let you present this. I'm going to give you a check. So, that one's for the memorial, and this is our annual maintenance fee thing. So, why don't you let them know who it is since it came out?
All right. So, hey, Brooks from the Norco Rotary Club, the president, and we had a fundraiser just recently called the Classics in the Park, and some of the proceeds from that are going to the memorial to maintain it. So this year we're going to contribute $3,000. So. And we have another one. We're also donating $2,000 more to the city as well for the veterans. So, for the memorial.
For those who don't remember, a couple of years ago we put up the POW MIA monument up at the Veterans Memorial, and part of that deal was the Rotary Club was going to always give a maintenance fee annually to about $1,000 a year. Bill worked on that one for us, so that was we're shoring up the deal. So a total of $5,000. And also, while I got Gage up here from the Rotary Club, great lunch today for the seniors at the Harvest Festival. So I'm going to give you a $500 check for that, to pay for those meals. I know you're going to give it to Michelle. And then the Senior Center Christmas meals, there's another $500 from the Rotary Club to be given to for the senior meals. We appreciate it. No, we don't, but that's okay. Remember, it's service above self.
Just so you know, if you go up to our Gold Star Family Memorial, you will see a gentleman holding a horse, and that's this man right here, Dave Overstreet. So if you get a chance, it's really a beautiful mural. Yeah. You get it from Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, makes you the center of the team.
Did you want to get another picture? Oh, she's trying to get a picture.
Come on, Brooks, get a picture. You got to do a picture, Brooks.
Did you want to get one also?
Oh no, you got it. Hurry up, hurry up. Get a picture. Get a picture. Get a picture. We have to show our district rotary we do something.
All you do is give away money. What's that?
You know, you Kiwanis in training. Yeah, that's right. Hey, Gage. All right. No, thank you. I appreciate it. No, thank you.
I do. Oh, that's right. Am I staying down there?
Okay. So also tonight we are recognizing November as National Native American Heritage Month by presenting a proclamation to the members of the community who have also contributed to the development of the city of Norco. I would like to call up the following community members to receive a proclamation on behalf of the community. Lori Reisbig. Hi, Lori. How are you? Good. And just read a couple of whereases, and then ask Council Member Bash to give us a history lesson. So, whereas in 1990, President George H.W. Bush designated this month of November as Native American Heritage Month, and whereas The city of Norco is a diverse community that is honored to celebrate the history and legacies of the Native American community members who have contributed to the economic, cultural, spiritual, and political development of our city, state, and country. Now therefore I, Greg Newton, Mayor of the City of Norco, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim November 2022 as Native American Heritage Month.
So actually this area has a very rich history in terms of rich, good and bad history in terms of Native Americans. And it's funny that Bill is sitting there because his daughter actually works at the Sherman Institute. And that's the story I'm going to tell. During World War II, there was a man named Virgil Stambaugh who was the commissary chief at the Naval Hospital. And most of the young men were sent off to war. At its peak, the Naval Hospital had 5,000 patients and 3,000 staff. That was double the population of Norco and almost the population of Corona. And so a deal was worked out whereby the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders at the Sherman Institute, then known as the Sherman Indian School, came to the hospital every day, did classes at night, and they literally did everything at that hospital. They served food, they helped patients. I mean, these are kids. And the only way they termed out during the war was they went to war. A lot of people don't know that it was very nearly 100% from that school that went to war during World War II. Virgil Stambaugh's daughter told me this story, and the way she put it, she said prior to World War II, basically they would just use the young pupils there. They'd call them up to come and put out the smudge pots for the lemon groves. They would have them come do their Indian dances at the Rotary Club, and they basically were not very respected. But during the war, all of a sudden, they were elevated in our society, and that was a key turning point in terms of more acceptance for Native Americans into the area. So I just thought that, I've always thought that was just an absolutely marvelous story in many, many ways. So that's all I got.
Good evening, everybody. I would like to thank Robin for inviting me to be here this evening to accept this proclamation. I am a member of the Tongva tribe, and my ancestors, and we still live here today. We've been in this land for over 7,000 years. We're all the way from the Los Angeles Basin throughout parts of San Bernardino and the Channel Islands. You might remember the story you read in school about Island of the Blue Dolphins. That was a member of our tribe. I'm very proud to be a part of that group, and my mother and grandmother and great-grandmother passed on to me that we need a reciprocal relationship with the land and the plants and the animals. And so as a biology teacher at Norco for over 30 years, I tried to help pass on that information, and working with the agricultural department and Robin, we had many opportunities to explore the Norco community and the natives that live here, both plant and animal. So thank you very much for this proclamation. We appreciate it.
So I just like to thank, I'm going to say Mrs. Reisbig for coming. Mrs. Reisbig was actually my high school biology teacher as well. And it was just good to have a working relationship with Mrs. Reisbig and between the ag department and the science department, and being able to function together and as a team. And one of the special things as a staff member at Norco High School, Mrs. Reisbig was in charge of the cougar that is put out at graduation every year, and everybody walks by the cougar. Mrs. Reisbig was in charge of that during her time at Norco High School as well, and it's a very important tradition and part of the history and culture at Norco High School. So when it was time to nominate somebody for Native American Heritage Month, I couldn't think of anybody that's more deserving than Mrs. Reisbig, and I'm so glad she accepted and is here tonight to represent for that.
That's all. All right.
Okay. I'll call on Mayor Pro Tem Grunmeyer to start council communications, city council reports on regional boards. Robin?
Oh, on November 14th, I attended the League of Cities meeting in Riverside, and we were able to see the Cheech, which is an amazing art facility. If you get the chance to go over to Riverside and check that out, it really is amazing. And it was nice to be in person again and networking with our colleagues from our neighboring cities in the county.
Thank you, Robin.
Oh, her little thing's going.
Okay.
I guess I'll just briefly touch on the meeting last night, unless Lori wants to do that.
Go right ahead, Kevin.
Yeah. So anyway, last night we went in mass to the Riverside City Council, and essentially asked them to go. There was what they wanted to do is above ground the Riverside the RTRP lines, the high transmission lines. They're undergrounded in Yorupa Valley, and then they pop up and they're going to come through a portion of Norco, go through the Hidden Valley park area, and then through a La Sierra neighborhood. And we were 4, 5, 6 months ago, we were given the opportunity to look at an alternative where we would underground the lines. And a whole bunch of us went that night, a bunch of residents. And unfortunately, the RFP took 4 months, and we had 1 month to put this thing together. And some valiant efforts. I was very proud of our council. I was very proud of 3 of the council members, Riverside. 4 others clearly had their minds made up, and they voted to proceed with above grounding the high transmission lines. These are 130 to 160 feet in the air. Just at a personal level, I was absolutely ashamed of that council. I think that the arguments made by some of the people in the audience were unbelievable. I have not heard, I mean, we hear them, but I've never heard people more eloquent than the residents. Nobody wants this project. And so it's something I've been working on since forever. I don't know if there's a pathway forward in this thing, but we will continue to look for it. But I was very proud of our council, and I really want to thank our new city manager, Lori Sassoon, for organizing us in a way that for the first time we actually had a cohesive effort on this issue like we've never had before. So I was just I really want to thank you for that. I deeply appreciate it. And you know what? Nobody can say we're not giving it our best shot. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Kevin. Also like to add to that, the Norco residents, Bonnie Slager and Susan Olmsted Bowen, that also attended and spoke. It was very well appreciated. Ted?
Yeah, I just going to touch on one too much stuff. I want to thank Jeff Kahan, who's sitting back there, for providing the sound for the Veterans Committee, and Jim, and bringing the Boy Scouts out there, along with all the veterans that are sitting in the room that helped on the Veterans Committee. But let me the T9, the T-Now meeting that we had, that's the Riverside Transit Agency. Just give you a couple of facts out there, and I didn't realize this until they started talking about. For the we have a representative from the school district there, and one of the things they talked about was how many students they actually transport on the bus. I mean, most of us want them to transport everyone, but just so you didn't know, they there's 1,200 special education students throughout the district that they transport. 25 homeless students, and I didn't realize that they actually take them to where the car is that they may live in or the RV. And then there's 57 foster students that they pick up and take. And so I applaud them for that. And I just wish that they did more. And there's supposed to be a grant coming up soon that they just are looking at as to how to put that together. Of course, their big fear is they don't want to buy diesel buses. And so who knows, electric buses or something different, or even like what they have at Riverside Transit, you have the CNG buses. But I just want to let you know about that one. And then at the RCTC meeting, I attended just a reminder, the westbound 91 at Main Street, and just between the 15 and the 91, all the way until till Monday, November 21st. They're doing paving, so the lane restrictions are going to be there. So bear with them. They're trying to get it paved. If you didn't know, there were some problems there. The ground settled. Imagine that. We're in the freeways, and it just started. So they had to redo all the pavement up top because it cracked. Engineers, gotta love them. And then one of the things they talked about, and I didn't know this, is in the last legislative session, and the Riverside County Transportation Commission, who also does a lot of things in our county as far as other things they do, the Conservancy, 997 bills were signed by the governor that went through the legislation, and he vetoed 169. It's over almost 1,200 bills. That's a lot out of our state in 1 year. So just so you know that. And then tomorrow I'm going to the SAPA-OA meeting, and we're going to talk about water. So hopefully when I come back, they're trying to figure it out. There's a group of almost 20 agencies in our area that are working on, and just in our Southern California, on how to work the water deal. And then for those who didn't, they got to attend the Riverside County Department K-9 event and the dinner. K-9, awesome. Justin, or hiding back there, I don't see him. There he is. Did a good job. They did a good job. We appreciate him coming here. And I know they like it. And then the dinner was great. So thank you.
Okay, so November 3rd, attended the special board of directors meeting for the Chino Basin Desalt Authority, and nothing actually to report from that meeting. So, moving on to consent calendar. Does any council member wish to pull any items? Do we have any public comments?
I have no public comments for this item.
Thank you, Dana. Second. Though I would like to comment and thank our facilities department, Amanda, for providing the additional information on the spreadsheets and bid results. It was very helpful. Thank you.
Please vote. It came up. You got it. Motion passes unanimous.
Thank you. Okay, moving forward to item 5A.
To public comment for?
I'm sorry. Do we have any public comments?
Yes. Please limit comments to 3 minutes or less. The governmental body shall not discuss relative to any general public comment. The first person is Jeff Cahan.
That was an intentional move on my part.
Appreciate it.
Good evening, Jeff.
Thank you, Dana, for keeping him on track. First of all, Mr. Mayor, Councilman Bash, let me be the first to congratulate you. I know it's not official, but I believe the results are high enough that we can congratulate you on your reelection. What I really came up to talk about is I try to never miss an opportunity, as you know, to commend Parks and Rec staff, and I'm here again with the same commendation to Michelle and Amanda's staff. You were all at Dia de los Muertos. You've all attended Veterans Day. I appreciate that you're at as many functions as you can be. But as a commissioner, just to remind you and the citizens that we can't do the things that we do here in Norco without a great staff. And Michelle and Amanda have assembled a fantastic team. And as you know, everything we do in Norco, we do top notch. And that's only because the team that they've assembled are always hardworking and put on a fantastic event, working behind the scenes mostly, setting up, tearing down, making sure that the facilities are in great shape, and just helping out. And it makes us all look good, but they're the ones that are working tirelessly behind the scenes. And just wanted to commend them. And also again today, as Ted mentioned, we had the senior lunch, and it was a great turnout, and it was run well, and again, because of the staff. So just want to commend them and commend you on showing up at the events. We appreciate that, and just let them know that they're doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Our next speaker is Bunny Slager. Yep, they all have them.
Hi, Bonnie.
Hi. Thanks, guys, for last night.
What
Futile
time did you
effort,
get to
but
sleep?
try. Well, I left before it was over, since figured they were going to do what they were going to do. Norco Horsemen's doesn't yearly, but tries to remind people when they ride at night to wear lights on their horses. I know that a couple years ago the high school students had a campaign and did a great job, and in light of the fact that about a month ago a horse and rider were separated in Arupa and it didn't go well for the horse, I think it's time to remind everybody that there is not a prerequisite to ride your black horse and wear all black clothing when you ride at night, even though that seems to be the norm. And I understand that sometimes I've ridden in the afternoon and all of a sudden I'm 2 miles from home and it's sunset and I go, we need to get moving. But people that start out after dark, they need lights on themselves and the horse. For the safety of the horse. I believe since the horse is considered a vehicle when you're crossing the street, it is part of the vehicle code for horses to be lit because they are considered a vehicle. But anyway, if you would encourage people to wear lights, I know last Tuesday in the city highlights you did have something about wearing reflective clothing, but the reflective items don't show up until the headlights are on them, and if you're wearing lights, particularly blinking lights, that's the most visible. So I hope that at least a few people listening or here tonight will put lights on themselves and their horses. Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie.
I have no further speaker cards, Mayor, for this item.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move into legislative matters. I will ask for a motion to approve.
You don't need to read. Please vote. Yeah, we read the first. Yeah. Motion passes unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's move into item 6, public hearings. Item 6A is a first reading ordinance 1090. Good evening, Michelle.
Good evening,
How are
Honorable
ya?
Mayor. I'm good, thank you. How are
Good.
you?
Good.
And members of the City Council. Before you tonight for consideration and adoption is ordinance number 1090, amending the Norco Municipal Code Title 8 Animals to add Chapter 8.09 Working Animal Protection Act. At the direction of City Council and as part of the city's strategic plan, staff drafted the proposed ordinance to safeguard the rich history of animal keeping, equestrian and cowboy culture, where its heritage includes law-abiding, animal-related businesses and the use of animals in everyday life. This ordinance ensures the safety of working animals and clearly protects and facilitates animal-related enterprises. Staff presented the draft ordinance to the Parks and Recreation Commission for review and feedback. Modifications, which included those from legal, were made, resulting in Commission's approval and recommendation for City Council approval. Additionally, staff has received support of the draft ordinance from individuals such as South Point Arena and Equestrian Center General Manager Steve Stallworth and Reading Rodeo General Manager Cindy Sean Holtz as a way to preserve and protect the culture and provide other agencies a template to emulate. This ordinance would not affect animal welfare laws that are already in place, nor protect any illegal animal enterprises. By approving this ordinance, no person shall interfere with or create an undue hardship relating to the occupation or use of working animal or animal enterprise. With that, I would like to introduce Animal Services Superintendent Melvin Sparks III to provide you further details of the proposed ordinance.
Thank you, Michelle. Good evening, Melvin.
Good evening. How are you guys all doing?
Good.
Very good. So today I'm presenting the working animal ordinance, and this would be ordinance number 1090. Make sure I got it right. So the purpose and intent is to, as Michelle has said, is to safeguard our rich history and culture in Norco with our love and mingling of animals with humans. Sure I did it right. Okay, perfect. As you see in front of you, the definitions are, these are the animals that are included in the working ordinance, working animal ordinance. As you see, the Cypripteridae is more for the birds of prey, and then camelids are included for camels, llamas, I think it is camels, llamas, and I'm trying to think of the last one, but alpacas, yes. So there's and with that, like I said, we also included poultry, but this is all obviously for legal matters, for selling at farmers markets.
Play piano.
I'm sorry, what happened there? Ah. Say it again. Melvin probably broke it. Also in definition, it goes over the owner caretakers. It goes over what is considered working for, that is for the animals that are doing a specific task and duty and function. Moving next is the care and welfare section. Now this is basically just a mirror to Penal Code 597. This is just for the owners or caretakers that have the animals as a working animal to make sure that they are kept in good health. They're not overloaded, overworked. Next section is rules and regulations, and here you will find some things that are pertaining to confinement at facilities and also on confinement on public right-of-way. So at facilities, it's just stating that similar as in Ingalls, we have a gate around the whole facility. So that's something to make sure that the animal doesn't get out too far, get on the public right-of-way and cause damage. And then when they're on the public right-of-way, there are sections of where there are some animals that are contained by devices as a leash, harness, and or cage and that such. And then there is a section where there are allowance for animals to work at liberty. And the animals to work at liberty, there are multiple devices and ways to do it by verbal, body gestures, and sound devices. So this just gives a more of a rule or ordinance to help everybody stay safe. Next up is, did I do it right? Okay, so next up is for general care or general conditions, and then there's also violations. So the general conditions is just to safeguard our culture here in Norco and make sure that we have rules set aside for everybody, and then it also lets everybody know that this section does not supersede state laws or rules that regulate animal care and public health and safety. Violation section is just to give the enforcement, either be the sheriff, the veterinarian, or animal control services, the right to give a corrective measure or to give a prompt correction for anything that comes up. And with that, adopting this first reading amendment, Norco ordinance, the second reading would be December 7th. If you have any questions, I will be happy to answer that.
Does council have any questions of staff?
Mr. Mayor, if I can.
Yeah, Ted.
No questions, but I'd like to point out this is something that I started back, and I brought it to the, for agendizing to review was back in January of this year, after I attended the PRCA convention, when we talked about the animal welfare and these working animal ordinances. And I'm proud that Melvin, and along with Michelle and the staff, has worked on this. I know Collins had taken this to the different commissions and had it reviewed. So I appreciate the time and effort on this. I know that this has gone through, and one of the state of Arkansas actually put this together first, and that was recommended in our convention, is to look at that law. And just so you know, the two people they talked about, Steve Stallworth from South Point, the arena, he is also part, this city is a member of the League of Agricultural Expos and Centers. Is that correct, Michelle? We still a member of that organization? Yeah, shaking her head, yes. And then I've known Steve for over 10 years, and he's very up on what's going on in this, and I'm glad he did the approval. And Cindy Schonholz, who I've known for 30 years, she was the former head of the PRCA Animal Welfare Division for the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association, along with even working in the state. And she's very knowledgeable on this, and that's why Redding stole her to be their general manager up there. So very happy that these two individuals helped support and thought this was a good way to go. So I just wanted to show you the qualifications of the two. And thank you, Melvin, for all the work you put on this.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to open the public hearing. Dana, do we have any public comment?
We have one speaker card, Bill Naylor.
Good evening, Bill.
Good evening, Council. As you may well know, that I'm very much in favor of the ordinance, with just a couple of little minor things that I think you need to be aware of, because the Parks and Recreation Commission was very good about sending it back to staff for minor corrections and things like that. But there was one area that I did notice that did not get corrected, and that was in that 8.09.030, and under B, where it talked about if an animal was injured or whatever, that it could not return unless a veterinarian approved it or animal control officer. As I pointed out at the commission meeting, that there are a lot of horse shows that go on in town. Horse might get a minor cut or abrasion or something. to hold everything up and wait for a vet to show up or animal control to come in on a weekend. That's not a real practical thing. We did make the recommendation that it be like show management, because I've competed for many, many years, and usually the show judges or the show management will make those decisions and call the animal out and not allow them to participate. So that was one minor thing that I thought should be addressed, because I know we've got a lot of barrel races and things like that where we're going to have some real problems if you're not careful. The other item that I had was on the term under the next section where working animals with a rider, and it says bridle attached to reins and so on and so forth. If you look up the definition of bridle, it says the headpiece used to control a horse, consisting of buckled straps to which a bit and reins are attached. There's a lot of us that ride out and around without actually a bit in their mouth. We ride with Moselles, especially the Hispanic riders do. We also ride with hackamores, and I ride with hackamores, and I don't want to get a ticket just for riding out in the trail with a hackamore. So again, if bridle is a very general term, but if you go to the definition, we're running into a problem. And I used to do a lot of enforcement, and that'll come back and bite you if you're not careful. But other than that, I really recommend that this type of ordinance be approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
I have no further speaker cards, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. We'll close the public hearing, bring it back to council discussion and action.
I have a question. Melvin? So, to Bill's point, 8.09.030, removed from working until cleared to return working status by a licensed veterinarian or an animal control officer. He makes a good point. Are those judges qualified to make those calls? I mean, is there training, or I never did much showing except when I was a kid.
For
you
judges,
feel about that?
Sorry, judges, for this section we put it more for rodeos and certain events. But if you're talking about just in general, any event that goes on up there, if there is a judge, normally that's something that is a big event, and there's normally a veterinary on site, as far as I remember, or I would say on call also.
I mean, open wound to me says something pretty significant, and not a scratch.
Correct. And we're talking about significant. It's something that's where it's a broken leg or a huge gash. If there's something minor, of course, I'm sorry. If there's something minor, that's still can be out to work. But we're talking with something that's where it's gushing with blood, or there's an injury, or it's limping.
Is there a way to maybe strengthen that, or do we need to strengthen it? I'm not sure. And then working animal with a rider bridle. I don't know, bridle's kind of generic. I mean, a bridle can be a hackamore, it can be it's not, but we tend to think of a bridle as all-encompassing. I know that technically it's not, but do you feel we need to change that to because there's a lot of ways to control horses?
Correct. And there's also, if you look in there is an option to either do a halter or and lead.
Yeah, I saw that.
So there is an option for that. I know when I was brought with that information about a hackamore, when you look up, it's just another form of bridle.
Right.
So as you said, is this working or animal ordinance or protection is for animals that are out working. If you're out riding on your own, there's nothing for us to come up and stop you, because it's no different than I love cars. And, if I drive my car down the street, if I have a sports car and I've modified it for the track, it's completely different than putting it back to stock and then driving around. So your working animal is working and performing a certain duty or task that you have set for it. If you're out for a ride, that does not count.
Gotcha. And that said, so I guess that kind of is okay the way it is for me. I really like this. You've taken this ordinance to a whole new level. And I really appreciate that. I really appreciate the work that went into this. I appreciate all the commissions and all. I know there was a lot of comments early on.
Yes.
And JT kind of filled me in.
Yes.
So I really thank you for all the hard work. I appreciate it. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Kevin. Ted?
Yeah, Melvin, we could also add head stall to that, which would clear the bridle thing. Because it's not specific, it's more generic. Could we?
Yes.
All
That
right,
sounds
Carl,
good.
it's Colin, he's shaking his head, so. Yeah, and I agree with Melvin on it. You're a licensed veterinarian or animal control officer. We don't want to get into the weeds and make this thing so specific. It's going to be hard to operate. You guys are right there all the time of animal, and you're right. It's 4 major events for the animal on the where it's care and welfare. And most judges will, especially in the sanction shows, they'll tell you right off if you got an animal that's over, you're out of there. And most of your good people know that. So, thank you. Good job on that, Melvin. Thank you. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Robin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I agree with the way the ordinance is written. With our livestock shows, we have a vet on call, and if there's issues, we don't have, we can have the vet there pretty quick, and animal control's right there, obviously, as well. So I don't have any concern with the way this is written, and then I would just like to thank staff over the past year. You have codified things like composting and apiaries and this working animal that really is solidifying what we're trying to do as a city and what we're trying to protect. So to all the staff that have worked on all these ordinances, I know they have not been fun necessarily, and it's been a tremendous amount of work on the part of staff, but I'm so appreciative that we're coming together and we're codifying these things that are important to us and our community. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melvin. I'm happy the way this is written. And also I want to thank you, staff, and the commission for all the work that you've put into this. It's a good job.
Thank you so
Good
much.
job. Okay, I'm going to ask for a recommendation to adopt ordinance number 1090, first reading.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And Mr. Mayor, was the motion with the amendment to include head stall?
Yes, please. Oh, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
This is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Norco, California, amending Norco Municipal Code Title 8 Animals to add Chapter 8.09 Working Animal Protection Act, Code Amendment 2022-04.
Please vote. Motion passes unanimous. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dana. Let's move into city council and staff communications. Does anyone with city staff? Dana?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank the community for coming out on Election Day. Just here at City Hall for ballot drop-off in that one day, we received 1,201 ballots. That was people coming in, fighting the rain, and making sure that their votes were received. Overall, for the city of Norco, for just our ballot drop-off at City Hall, we received just about 2,050 votes here. And worked really close with the Register of Voters. They would come in and pick up, check on what we were doing with our ballots. We had a couple of observers come in and make sure that we were following protocol, which we were. I'm very proud of that. And I just want to thank the community for coming out, letting your vote be heard, and sticking it out in the rain. So thank you all.
Thank you, Dana. And we hope they're counted by the end of the month. Okay. Any other staff comments? Okay. City attorney?
No, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. City manager? City council?
Yeah. Robin, I want to thank you for letting your students come in here. It's cool. I know they're getting their grades. Look how excited they're learning about government. So it's good to have the audience, even though you're forced to be here. I hope you learn something. So, KMOD. I know they're really good.
Because they waited to the last minute too.
So, and the other thing, Mr. Mayor, I want to, this is a thanking the city staff. If you guys get to go up to the Clark Arena, and I hate to use the term night and day, but Caesar, one of our employees up there, what a job he has done cleaning the lights out of Clark. It was getting bad. Matter of fact, the last horse show that was there, it was early in the morning. The guy goes, "Can you turn the lights on a little brighter?" It's totally different. And Amanda, thank you, and thank Todd and his crew, especially Caesar. I know it's not easy. It's all the birds that were nesting up there and everything like that. What a miserable job. And he takes it to his heart and does it. So thank you.
Robin? Kevin? Okay, so thank you all so very much for showing up. We're going to go ahead and adjourn back to closed session. So y'all have a good evening.